So normally do read from Genesis to Revelation. I'm currently at First Kings chapter 20. I'm starting from this. I say Allah Surah. Father, for thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. As we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, glory forever and ever. Amen. First King chapter 20. War with Syria. King Ben-Hadad of Syria gathered all his troops and, supported by 32 other rulers with their horses and chariots, he marched up, laid siege to Samaria, and launched attack. He sent messengers into the city of King Ahab of Israel, to say, King Ben-Hadad demands that you surrender to him your silver and gold, your women, and the strongest of your children. Tell my lord, King Ben-Hadad, that I agree. He can have me and everything I own. Ahab answered. Later, the messenger came back to Ahab with another demand from Ben-Hadad. I sent you word that you were to hand over to me your silver and gold, your women and your children. Now, however, I will send my officers to search your palace and home of your officers, and to take everything they consider valuable. They will be there about this time tomorrow. King Ahab called in all the leaders of the country and said, you see that this man wants to ruin us. He sent me a message demanding my wives and children, my silver and gold, and I agreed. The leaders and the people answered, don't pay any attention to him. Don't give in. So Ahab replied to Ben-Hadad, tell my lord the king that I agree to his first demand, but I can't agree to the second. The messenger left and then returned with another message from Ben-Hadad. I will bring enough men to destroy the city of yours and carry off the rubble in their hands. May the God strike me dead if I don't. King answered, tell King Ben-Hadad that a real soldier does his boasting after a battle, not before it. Ben-Hadad received Ahab's answer. Ahab answered as him and his aliens. Okay, at least the other rulers were drinking in their tent. He ordered his men to get ready to attack the city, so they moved into position. Meanwhile, a prophet went to King Ahab and said, the Lord says, do not be afraid of that huge army. I will give you victory over it today, and you will know that I am the Lord. Who will lead the attack? Ahab asked. The prophet answered, the Lord says that the young soldiers under the command of the district governors are to do it. Who will command the main force? The king asked. You, the prophet answered. So the king called out the young soldiers who were under the district commanders, 232 in all. Then he called out the Israelite army, a total of 7,000 men. The attack began at noon as Ben-Hadad and his 32 allies were getting drunk in their tents. The young soldier advanced first. Scouts sent out by Ben-Hadad reported to him that a group of soldiers was coming out of Samaria. He ordered, "Take them alive, no matter whether they are coming to fight or to ask for peace." The young soldiers led the attack, followed by the Israelite army, and each one killed the man he fought. The Syrians fled with the Israelites in hot pursuit, but Ben-Hadad escaped on horseback, accompanied by some of the cavalry. King Ahab took the field, captured the horses and chariots, and inflicted a severe defeat on the Syrians. The prophet went to King Ahab and said, "Go back and build up your forces and make careful plans, because the king of Syria will attack again next spring." The second Syria attack. King Ben-Hadad officials said to him, "The gods of Israel are mounting the gods of Israel are mounting gods, and that is why the Israelites defeated us. But we will certainly defeat them if we fight them in the plains. Now remove the 32 rulers from their commands and replace them with field commanders. Then call up an army as large as the one that deserted you, with the same number of horses and chariots. We will fight the Israelites in the plains, and this time we will defeat them." King Ben-Hadad agreed and followed their advice. The following spring, he called up his men and marched with them to the city of Aphek to attack the Israelites. The Israelites were called up and equipped. They marched out and camped in two groups facing the Syrians. The Israelites looked like two small flocks of goats compared with the Syrians, who spread out over the countryside. A prophet went to King Ahab and said, "This is what the Lord says. Because the Syrians say that I am a god of the hills and not of the plains, I will give you victory over their huge army, and you and your people will know that I am the Lord." For 7 days the Syrians and the Israelites stayed in their camps, facing each other. On the 7th day they started fighting, and the Israelites killed 100,000 Syrians. The survivors flew into the city of Aphek, where the city wall fell on 27,000 of men. Ben-Hadad also escaped into the city and took refuge in the back room of a house. His officials went to him and said, "We have heard that the Israelite kings are merciful. Give us permission to go to the king of Israel with sackcloth round our waist and rope round our necks, and maybe he will spare your life." So they wrapped sackcloth round their waist and rope round their necks, went to Ahab and said, "Your servant Ben-Hadad plead with you for his life." Ahab answered, "Is he still alive? Good, he's like a brother to me." Ben-Hadad officials were watching for a good sign, and when Ahab said brother, they took it up at once and said, "As you say, Ben-Hadad is your brother. Bring him to me." Ahab ordered. When Ben-Hadad arrived, Ahab invited him to get into the chariot with him. Ben-Hadad said to him, "I will restore to you the towns my father took from your father, and you may set up a commercial center for yourself in Damascus, just as my father did in Samaria." Ahab replied, On terms, then I will set you free. He made a treaty with him and let him go. A prophet condemns Ahab. At the Lord's command, a member of a group of prophets ordered a fellow prophet to hit him, but he refused. So he said to him, because you have disobeyed the Lord's command, a lion will kill you as soon as you leave me. And as soon as he left, a lion came along and killed him. Then this same prophet went to another man and said, hit me. This man did so. He hit him a hard blow and hurt him. The prophet bandaged his face with a cloth to disguise himself, and went and stood by the road, waiting for the king of Israel to pass. As the king of Israel, as the king was passing by, the prophet called out to him and said, Your Majesty, I was fighting in the battle when a soldier brought a captured enemy to me and said, guard this man. If he escaped, you will pay for it with your life, or else pay a fine of 3,000 pieces of silver. But I got busy with other things, and the man escaped. The king answered, You have pronounced your own sentence, and you will have to pay the penalty. The prophet tore the cloth from his face, and at once the king recognized him as one of the prophets. The prophet then said to the king, This is the word of the Lord, because you allowed the man to escape whom I had ordered to be killed. You will pay for it with your life, and your army will be destroyed for letting his army escape. The king went back home to Samaria, worried and depressed. 1 Kings chapter 21. Naboth's vineyard. Near King Ahab's palace in Jezreel, there was a vineyard owned by a man named Naboth. One day, Ahab said to Naboth, Let me have your vineyard. It is close to my palace, and I want to use the land for a vegetable garden. I will give you a better vineyard for it, or if you prefer, I will pay you a fair price. I inherited this vineyard from my ancestors. Naboth replied, The Lord forbid that I should let you have it. Ahab went home depressed and angry over what Naboth had said to him. He lay down on his bed facing the wall and would not eat. His wife Jezebel went to him and said, Why are you so depressed? Why won't you eat? He answered, Because of what Naboth said to me. I offered to buy his vineyard, or if he preferred, to give him another one for it. But he told me that I could not have it. Well, are you the king or are not you? Jezebel replied, Get out of bed, cheer up and eat. I will get you Naboth's vineyard. Then she wrote some letters, signed them with Ahab's name, sealed them with his seal, and sent them to the officials and leading citizens of Jezreel. The letter said, Proclaim a day of fasting, call the people together, and give Naboth the place of honor. Get a couple of scoundrels to accuse him to his face of cursing God and the king. Then take him out of the city and stone him to death. The officials and leading citizens of Jezreel did what Jezebel had commanded. They proclaimed a day of fasting, called the people together, and gave Naboth the place of honor. The two scoundrels publicly accused him of cursing God and the king, and so he was taken outside the city and stoned to death. The message was sent to Jezebel: Naboth has been put to death. As soon as Jezebel received the message, she said to Ahab, Naboth is dead. Now go and take possession of the vineyard which he refused to sell to you. At once, Ahab went to the vineyard to take possession of it. The Lord, the Lord said to Elijah, the Lord said to Elijah, the prophet from Tishbe, go to King Ahab of Samaria. You will find him in Naboth's vineyard, about to take possession of it. Tell him that I, the Lord, says to him, after murdering the man, are you taking over his property as well? Tell him that this is what I say. In the very place that the dog licked up Naboth's blood, there will lick up your blood. When Ahab saw Elijah, he said, have you caught up with me, my enemy? Yes, I have, Elijah answered. You have devoted yourself completely to doing what is wrong in the Lord's sight. So the Lord says to you, I will bring disaster on you. I will do away with you and get rid of every male in your family, young and old alike. Your family will become like the family of King Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the family of King Baasha, son of Ahijah, because you have stirred up my anger by leading Israel into sin. And concerning Jezebel, the Lord says that dogs will eat her blood in the city of Jezreel. Any of your relatives who die in the city will be eaten by dogs, and anyone who died in open country will be eaten by vultures. There was no one else who had devoted himself so completely to doing wrong in the Lord's sight as Ahab, or at the orgy of his wife Jezebel. He committed the most shameful sin by worshipping idols, as the Amorites have done, whom the Lord had driven out of the land as the people of Israel advanced. When Elijah finished speaking, Ahab tore his clothes, took them off, and put on sackcloth. He refused food, slept in sackcloth, and went about groaning and depressed. The Lord said to the prophet Elijah, have you noticed how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Since he has done this, I will not bring disaster on him during his lifetime. It will be during his son's lifetime that I will bring disaster on Ahab's family. The prophet Micaiah warned Ahab. 1 Kings chapter 22. There was peace between Israel and Syria for the next 2 years. But in the third year, King Jehoshaphat of Judea went to see King Ahab of Israel. Ahab asked his officials, why is it that we have not done anything to get back Ramoth in Gilead from the king of Syria? It belongs to us. And Ahab asked Jehoshaphat, will you go with me to attack Ramoth? I'm ready when you are, Jehoshaphat answered, and so are my soldiers and my cavalry. But first let's consult the Lord. So Ahab called in the prophets, about 400 of them, and asked them, should I go and attack Ramoth or not? Attack it, they answered. The Lord will give you victory. But Jehoshaphat asked, is not there another prophet through whom we can consult the Lord? Ahab answered, there is one more, Micaiah, son of Imlah, but I hate him because he never prophesies anything good for me. It is always something bad. You should not say that, Jehoshaphat replied. Then Ahab called in a court official and told him to go fetch Micaiah at once. The two kings, dressed in their royal robes, were sitting on their thrones at the church place just outside the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets were prophesying in front of them. One of them, Zedekiah, son of Chenaiah, made iron horns and said to Ahab, "This is what the Lord says. With this you will fight the Syrians and totally defeat them." All the other prophets said the same thing. "March against Ramoth, and you will win," they said. "The Lord will give you victory." Meanwhile, the officials who have gone to get Micaiah said to him, "All the other prophets have prophesied success for the king, and you had better do the same." But Micaiah answered, "By the living Lord, I promise that I will say what he tells me to." When he appeared before King Ahab, the, the king asked him, "Micaiah, should King Jehoshaphat and I go and attack Ramon or not?" "Attack," Micaiah answered. "Of course you will win. The Lord will give you victory." But Ahab replied, "When you speak to me in the name of the Lord, tell the truth. How many times do I have to tell you that?" Micaiah answered, "I can see the army of Israel scattered over the hills like sheep without a shepherd." And the Lord said, "These men have no leader. Let them go home." Ahab said to Jehoshaphat, "Don't I tell you that he never prophesied anything good?" By chance, however, a Syrian soldier shoots an arrow. Okay. Ahab said to Jehoshaphat, "Don't I tell you that he never prophesied anything good for me? It's always something bad." Micaiah went on, "Now listen to what the Lord says. I The Lord asked, deceive Ahab so that he will be killed at Ramoth." Some of the angels said one thing, and others said something else, until a spirit stepped forward. Until a spirit stepped forward, approached the Lord, and said, "I will deceive him." "How?" The Lord asked. The spirit replied, "I will go and make all Ahab's prophets tell lies." The Lord said, "Go and deceive him, you will succeed." And Micah concluded, "This is what happened. The Lord has made this prophet of yours lie to you, but he himself has decreed that you will meet with disaster." Then the prophet Zedekiah went up to Micah, slapped his face, and asked, Since when did the Lord's Spirit leave me and speak to you? You will find out when you go into some back room to hide. Micah replied. Then King Ahab ordered one of his officers, arrest Micah and take him to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to priest Joash. Tell them to throw him into prison and to put him on bread and water until I return safely. If you return safely, Micah exclaimed, then the Lord have not spoken through me. And he added, listen everyone to what I have to say. Then King Ahab of Israel and King Jehoshaphat of Judea went to attack the city of Ramoth in Gilead. Ahab said to Jehoshaphat, as we go into battle, I will disguise myself, but you wear your royal garment. So the king of Israel went into battle in disguise. The king of Syria have ordered his 32 chariot commanders to attack no one except the king of Israel. So when they saw King Jehoshaphat, they all thought that he was the king of Israel, and they turned to attack him. But when he cried out, they realized that he was not the king of Israel, and they stopped their attack. By chance, however, a Syrian soldier shot an arrow which struck King Ahab between the of his armor and wounded him. Cried out to his chariot driver, turn round and pull out of the battle. While the battle raged on, King Ahab remained prone up in his chariot, facing the Syrians. The blood from his wound ran down and covered the bottom of the chariot, and at evening he died. Near sunset, the order went out through the Israelite ranks. Every man go back to his own country and city. So died King Ahab. His body was taken to Samaria and buried. His chariot was cleaned up at the pool of Samaria, where dogs lick up his blood and prostitutes wash themselves, as the Lord had said would happen. Everything else that King Ahab did, including an account of his palace, decorated with ivory, and all the city he built, is recorded in the history of the king of Israel. At his death, his son Ahaziah succeeded him as king. In the 4th year of the reign of King Ahab of Israel, Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, became king of Judea at the age of 35, and he ruled in Jerusalem for 25 years. His mother was Azubah, the daughter of Shehi. Like his father Asa before him, he did what was right in the sight of the Lord, but the pagan places of worship were not destroyed, and the people continued to offer sacrifice and burn incense there. Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel. Everything else that Jehoshaphat did, all his bravery and his battle, are recorded in the history of the king of Judea. He got rid of all the male and female prostitutes serving at the pagan altar, who were still left from the day of his father Asa. The land of Edom had no king. It was ruled by a deputy appointed by the king of Judea. King Jehoshaphat built ocean-going ships to sail to the land of Ophi for gold, but they were wrecked at Ezogebia and never sailed. Then King Ahaziah of Israel offered to let his men sail with Jehoshaphat's men, but Jehoshaphat refused the offer. Jehoshaphat died and was buried in the royal tomb in David's city. and his son Jehoram succeeded him as king. King Ahazah of history. In the 17th year of the reign of King Jehoshaphat of Judea, Ahazah son of Ahab became king of Israel, and he ruled in Samaria for 2 years. He sinned against the Lord, following the wicked example of his father Ahab, his mother Jezebel, and King Jeroboam, who had led Israel into sin. He worshipped and served Baal, and like his father before him, he aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel. That's the end of First King. So Second King, chapter 1. Elijah and King Ahazah. After the death of King Ahab of Israel, the country of Moab rebelled against Israel. King Ahazah of Israel fell off the balcony of the roof of his palace in Samaria and was seriously injured. So he sent some messengers to consult Baal-zebub, the god of the Philistines city of Ekron, in order to find out whether or not he would recover. But an angel of the Lord commanded Elijah, the prophet from Tishbe, to go and meet the messengers of King Ahazah and ask them, "Why are you going to consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Is it because you think there is no God in Israel? Tell the king that the Lord says, you will not recover from your injury. You will die." Elijah did as the Lord commanded, and the messenger returned to the king. "Why have you come back?" he asked. They answered, "We were met by a man who told us to come back and tell you that the Lord says to you, why are you sending messengers to consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Is it because you think there is no God in Israel? You will not recover from your injury. You will die." "What did the man look like?" the king asked. "He was wearing a cloak made of animal skins, tied with a leather belt," they answered. "Elijah," the king exclaimed. Then he sent an officer with 15 men to get Elijah. The officer found him sitting on a hill and said to him, "Man of God, the king ordered you to come down." "If I am a man of God," Elijah answered, "may fire come down from heaven and kill you and your men." At once fire came down and killed the officers and his men. The king sent another officer with 50 men, who went up and said to Elijah, "Man of God, the king ordered you to come down at once." "If I am a man of God," Elijah answered, "may fire come down from heaven and kill you and your men." At once the fire of God came down and killed the officers and his men. Once more the king sent an officer with 50 men. He went up the hill, fell on his knees in front of Elijah, and pleaded, "Man of God, be merciful to me and my men. Spare our lives." The 2 other officers and their men were killed by from heaven. "But please be merciful to me." The angel of the Lord said to Elijah, "Go down with him." The officers, and do not be afraid. So Elijah went with the officer to the king and said to him, "This is what the Lord is, because you sent messengers to consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, as if there were no God in Israel to consult. You will not get well, you will die." Ahazah died as the Lord had commanded. As the Lord had said to Elijah. Ahazat had no son. Brother Joram succeeded him as king in the second year of the reign of Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judea. Everything else that King Ahaziah did is recorded in the history of the kings of Israel. 2 Kings chapter 2. Elijah is taken up to heaven. The time came for the Lord to take Elijah up to heaven in a wind fire, in a whirlwind. Elijah and Elisha from Gilgal, and on the way Elijah said to Elisha, "Now stay here. The Lord have ordered me to go to Bethel." But Elisha answered, "By my loyalty to the living God, and to you that I will not leave you." So they went on to Bethel. A group of prophets who lived there went to Elisha and asked him, "Do you know that the Lord is going to take your master away from you today?" "Yes, I know," Elisha answered, "but let's not talk about it." Then Elisha answered, "Okay." Then Elijah said to Elisha, "Now stay here. The Lord have ordered me to go to Jericho." But Elisha answered, "I swear by my loyalty to the living God and to you that I will not leave you." So they went on to Jericho. A group of prophets who lived there went to Elisha and asked him, "Do you know that the Lord is going to take your master away from you today?" "Yes, I know," Elisha answered, "but let's not talk about it." Then Elijah said to Elisha, "Now stay here." Okay, now stay here. The Lord have ordered me to go to the river Jordan. But Elisha answered, "I swear by my loyalty to the living Lord, and to you that I will not leave you." So they went on, and 50 of the prophets followed them to the Jordan. Elijah and Elisha stopped by the river, and the 50 prophets stood a short distance away. Then Elijah took off his cloak, he struck the water with it. The water divided, and he and Elijah crossed to the other side on dry ground. There Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me what you want me to do for you before I am taken away. Let me receive the share of your power, that will make me your successor." Elisha answered, "That is a difficult request to grant."
Elijah.
Okay.
Elijah being knowledge.
Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me what you want me to do for you before I'm taken away. Let me receive the share of your power, that will make me your successor." Elisha answered, "That is a difficult request to grant." Elijah replied, "But you will receive it if you see me as I am being taken away from you. If you don't see me, you won't receive it." They kept talking as they walked on. Then suddenly a chariot of fire, pulled by horses of fire, came between them, and Elijah was taken up to heaven by a whirlwind. Elisha saw it and cried out to Elijah, my father, mighty defender of Israel, you are gone." And he never saw Elijah again. In grief, Elijah tore his cloak in two. Then he picked up Elijah's cloak that had fallen from him, and went back and stood on the bank of Jordan. He struck the water with Elijah's cloak and said, "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" Then he struck the water again, and it divided. And he walked over to the other side. The 50 prophets from Jericho saw him and said, "The power of Elijah is on Elisha." They went to meet him, bowed down before him, and said, "There are 50 of us here, all strong men. Let us go and look for your master. Maybe the Spirit of the Lord have carried him away and left him on some mountain or in some valley." "No, you must not go," Elisha answered. But they insisted until he gave in and let them go. The 50 of them went and looked high and low for Elijah for 3 days, but did not find him. Then they returned to Elijah, who was waited who had waited in Jericho. And he said to them, "Didn't I tell you not to go?" Miracle of Elisha. Some men from Jericho went to Elisha and said, "As you know, sir, this is a fine city, but the water is bad and causes miscarriage. Put some salt in a new bowl and bring it to me," he ordered. They brought it to him, and he went to the spring, threw the salt in the water, and said, "This is what the Lord says. I make this water pure, and it will not cause any more deaths or miscarriage." And that water has been pure ever since, just as Elisha said it would be. Elisha left Jericho to go to Bethel, and on the way some boys came out of a town and made fun of him. "Get out of here, baddie," they shouted. Elisha turned round, glared at them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 she-bears came out of the wound and tore 42 of the boys to pieces. Elijah went onto Mount Carmel and later returned to Samaria. This is the end of today's story. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass and leads me to quiet pools of fresh waters. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right path as he has promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord, for you are with me. Your shepherd's rod and staff protect me. You prepared a banquet for me, where all my enemies can see me. You welcome me as an honored guest and filled my cups to the brim. I know that your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and your house will be my home as long as I live. Psalm 24. The great King, the Lord, the world and all that is in it belongs to the Lord. The earth and all who live on it are his. He built it on the deep waters beyond the earth and laid its foundation in the ocean depths. Who has the right to go up the Lord's hill? Who may enter his holy temple? Those who are pure in heart and in thought, who do not worship idols or make false promises. The Lord will bless them and save them. God will declare them innocent. Such are the people who come to the Lord, who come to God, who come into the presence of the God of Jacob. Fling wide the gates, open the ancient doors, and the great King will come in. Who is this great King? He is the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord victorious in battle. Fling wide the gates, open the ancient doors, and the great King will come in. Who is this great King? The triumphant Lord, he is the great King. Hallelujah. So this is